In this video, we are covering the 3 biggest vehicle open carry traps every Florida gun owner needs to avoid, and how to stay on the right side of both state and federal law. Welcome to the channel. I'm Tonmiel Rodriguez, a Florida board-certified criminal trial lawyer. After the McDaniels versus state ruling, Florida now recognizes the right to openly carry firearms in public. Yes, and that likely includes vehicles too. But before you drive with your firearm holstered at the hip, placed on your dashboard, or mounted next to your seat, you need to know this. There are still several major traps waiting for you if you don't understand the limits. Let's start with the most dangerous one, the location trap. You might think that because open carry is now recognized, you can carry anywhere your car can go, and that would be wrong. What's the problem? Florida and federal law still ban possession, open or concealed, in many areas, especially school zones and school property. Here's an example of how things can go wrong. John is driving through a school zone one morning and he's speeding just a little bit. He gets pulled over and the officer notices a holstered handgun sitting on the center console. What began as a civil traffic stop just turned into a criminal investigation, potentially even a federal felony. And you may be thinking, that's crazy. How could that be? We'll go over the law right after this other example. Look at Maria. She's dropping off her child at school, firearm visible in her vehicle. The school resource deputy spots it. What was just a routine drop-off becomes a criminal matter. Why are these law-abiding citizens facing potential criminal charges? Because both John and Maria drove armed into areas governed by 2 powerful sets of laws, federal and state. The Gun-Free School Zones Act, 18 U.S.C. Section 922, makes it a federal crime to possess a firearm within 1,000 feet of a school. And that includes the roads and sidewalks surrounding it. There are limited exceptions, like having a concealed carry permit issued by the state in which the school zone sits, or the firearm is unloaded and locked in a container, but you still can't carry it open. Violating this federal statute is a felony punishable by up to 5 years in federal prison. Florida adds another layer to that under Section 790.0612A. It's illegal to carry a firearm openly or concealed in any school, college, or school administration building. And under 790.115, possession of a firearm is prohibited at school-sponsored events, on the property of any school, school bus, or bus stop. That means it doesn't matter if you're walking, if you're parked, or if you're driving through, carrying concealed or open, the restrictions apply. There's one narrow exception under 790.115. If you have a handgun that's securely encased and it's stored in your vehicle, or if you have a concealed carry permit, you may be able to carry it concealed inside of the vehicle. But here's the twist. Local school districts can waive that exception. And almost all of them have. An example of this is the Polk School District. They issued a recent announcement warning people that they can't carry concealed or open it on any Polk school property. People on Facebook began to ask questions, like parents who have to drop off their kids, whether this applied to guns in their cars. And in response, the district consulted with the Polk County Sheriff's Office, and they gave them this update. It says, just to clarify, per PCSO, or the Polk County Sheriff's Office, if you have a firearm in your vehicle on school property, you can still be held accountable. Miami-Dade, Broward, Hillsborough, and many other districts have similar policies. So in practice, you cannot have a firearm anywhere on school property, even in your trunk. Violating this section is a 3rd-degree felony punishable by up to 5 years in Florida State Prison. That's a location trap. If your daily commute passes through a school zone, or if you're picking up a child, check with your school district and your local police department for the policy to avoid this trap. Trap number 2. It's the H trap. Meet Tim. He's 19 years old, driving home late one night when he's pulled over by a police officer for a broken taillight. The officer approaches and spots a holstered handgun on Tim's passenger seat. In seconds, that stop turns into a criminal investigation. Why? Because age matters. Under Florida law, you must be 21 or older to open carry or conceal carry a firearm. But I thought you could be 18 or over and possess a firearm and own a firearm. You may be able to own and possess a firearm in certain locations once you're over 18, But ownership and possession is not the same as being able to carry open or concealed in public or in a vehicle. If you're under 21, your options in a vehicle are currently limited to what's allowed under Section 790.254. A firearm inside a private conveyance must be securely encased or otherwise not readily accessible for immediate use. That means it's in a glove compartment, it's in a snap holster or a lockbox, not on your person and not visible. So even after McDaniels, if you're under 21 and have a handgun on your seat or at your hip, you're in violation of Florida law, and that's a criminal offense. Now for the third and final trap, the one that gets even some experienced gun owners in trouble: private property. Let's look at Mike. Mike parks in a grocery store with his windows down and his holstered firearm visible. An employee walks up and says, "Sir, you can't open carry here. You need to leave or put your gun away." Mike refuses and starts to argue about his constitutional rights. That refusal just turned him into a potential felon. Here's why. Florida law under Section 790.251 protects employees and patrons from retaliation for illegally keeping firearms inside of their vehicles on private property, but that protection does not extend to displaying the firearm. If a business tells you no guns and you refuse to comply, you can be charged with armed trespass, a third-degree felony. So while you may lawfully store a firearm in your car while in private property or on private property, you cannot display or carry it openly if the owner objects. Now let's address a common misconception. My car is my castle. I see a lot of online comments about the car being an extension of your home and that you can keep your firearm in your vehicle however you want. That's not accurate. Yes, the castle doctrine in Florida gives you certain self-defense rights when you're inside your vehicle, but that's not the same as a blanket exemption from carry restrictions. Possession, display, transport of firearms are still subject to state and federal limits, so be careful with that. Now, let's sum up what we've learned. Location trap. Never openly carry a firearm inside a vehicle near schools or school zones. It's both a federal and state offense. Even concealed carry can be illegal in some circumstances. Mere possession of a stored firearm can be a crime in some circumstances if you're in a school. This is a confusing area of the law. Consult a lawyer about your specific situation if you have any doubts. The age trap. If you're under 21, your firearm must be securely encased and not on your person if you're in your vehicle. Private property trap. If a property owner says no firearms, you must comply or risk armed trespass charges. The bottom line, after McDaniels, Florida recognizes open carry in vehicles for adults who are 21 or older and otherwise legally eligible. But with that freedom comes responsibility. A simple misunderstanding, like parking at a school or ignoring a no firearms request, can quickly escalate into criminal charges. So before you exercise your right to carry, learn the boundaries. Check your local school district's policies. The Second Amendment protects your rights, but knowledge will protect your freedom. I'm Tonmiel Rodriguez. I am a Florida board certified criminal trial lawyer. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with a friend who needs to know. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.